Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Donate Life Month and the WVU Medicine J.W. Ruby donor flag raising in partnership with CORE. Today we are gathered to celebrate, acknowledge, and thank the true heroes of transplant, organ donors. Organ donors are heroes in the true sense of the word. They give selflessly to help others. They touch the lives of so many in so many ways. They save lives and improve the quality of life of those that receive their organs or tissues. The Donate Life flag is a national symbol of unity, remembrance, and hope, honoring those touched by donation and transplantation. The Donate Life flag has unique and deliberate design containing blue, green, and a swirl which represents the sky, the earth, and the circle of life. The flag design itself represents various beliefs in organ donation, and that logo represents honor for living and deceased donors, as well as those who have died waiting for transplant. Hope for patients waiting and their families and clinical partners. Trust, a source of accurate information and safeguarding registry data. Unity, a centralizing force for members of donation and the transplant communities. And last but not least, gratitude and celebration for recipients, their families, to celebrate the life they were given through donor gifts. Today, in honor of National Donate Life Month, we will fly the Donate Life flag outside of WVU Medicine J.W. Ruby Memorial Hospital. Thank you.
This month we celebrate the decisions by many to donate life. We celebrate the life and hope made possible through the blessing of donation, and we celebrate those who choose even now to designate themselves as donors, as a symbol of hope for those who are waiting. The decision to donate life is a choice that I would also affirm today as a spiritual act based in the goodness of humanity and in the love of neighbor. Spirituality can be defined as a path for seeking a meaningful connection with something bigger than ourselves, something beyond ourselves. And we often think of this as a connection with God or the divine or the holy, the universe, or even with nature. But it can also be seen in giving the blessing of donation to another person. The blessing of donation is a connection to what is beyond, something bigger than ourselves, something bigger than oneself or one's own life, something outside of you and me, a gift that becomes tangible and very real for another, a gift that will continue to give to others through the life of another. The decision to donate life represents the highest form of the spiritual ideals of selflessness and servanthood, but also of compassion and generosity and love. Today we celebrate the life and hope made possible through donation, through the blessing of donation. And as we do this, we also remember our donors and their families. Often this decision is made in a time of immense grief, during a time when a family is saying goodbye, and yet in strength, the decision is made to donate life bravely and selflessly. As a result, for another family, it becomes the lifeline and the gift of more time, more birthdays, more family gatherings, and more memories. For others, it becomes the gift of sight or the gift of mobility and freedom. What tremendous gifts these are, given for the life of another person and the life of their family, given to allow one's own loved one to live on through the blessing of donation. Today, we take an opportunity to remember these gifts, our donors, their families, and the recipients whose lives are changed. We give gratitude to God for these gifts and ask God's continued blessing on the stories and families represented here today. May we all be blessed and strengthened by what we hear and what we experience in our remembering and our celebrating today.
Thank you, Allison. Our next speaker will be Christy Ryan, speaking on behalf of CORE.
Thanks, Mike. So good morning, everyone. My name is Christy Ryan. I'm the Director of Professional Services at CORE, which is the Center for Organ Recovery and Education. It's an honor to kick off National Donate Life Month with WVU Medicine Ruby Memorial Hospital. CORE's life-saving mission is about saving the lives of those who need a transplant, as well as helping donor families heal from the selfless loss of a loved one. To carry out this mission, we depend on the support of the entire community that we have the honor to serve. From our hospitals, funeral directors, coroners, medical examiners, and legislators, just to name a few. And that has never been more true than in the past 2 years, when I have witnessed firsthand the innovative ways that we together have successfully carried out our donation and transplantation mission. Today, I am optimistic that through perseverance and commitment, there is a bright light at the end of this tunnel. I hope you also share this optimism. There is a great book by Admiral William H. McRaven in which he talks about the lessons he learned from being a Navy SEAL for about 36 years. Foremost among those lessons was this: if you want to change the world, you cannot do it alone. That is so true. Just look around in our community and you will be a witness to the amazing stories from generous donor families, grateful recipients, and transplant candidates, all holding on to the hope that they will receive their gift of life. And of course from you, our talented and skilled hospital partners. To the Ruby leadership team, the dedicated physicians, nurses, and of course the entire healthcare team, you are a critical part to the donation and transplant process. Specifically, I'd like to recognize and thank Doug Mitchell, who is here with us today, Mike Shulo, who is also here with us, and Albert Wright, who unfortunately is not here with us today. You and your team have proven that in the face of challenges, heroes find solutions. You've given so much hope to so many, including me. Thank you for making the gift of life possible. In 2021, through our shared commitment to donation, WVU made possible 119 life-saving organ transplants because of the generosity of 51 organ donors. The gift of sight was given to 86 grateful cornea recipients, and more than 3,000 individuals received a tissue transplant. And for that, I applaud you. 2021 was also the third record-breaking year in a row for CORE. It definitely goes without saying that our success is your success. But as long as there are people who continue to wait for a second chance at life, we will continue to work every day for those individuals and for our amazing donor families. That's what National Donate Life Month is really about. So today, as the Donate Life flag is raised, we send an unmistakable sign of hope to the more than 100,000 people in the United States who continue to wait for that life-saving transplant, and also show our generous donor families our sincere gratitude for providing that gift of life. Let this flag be a sign of strength, perseverance, healing, and hope. Together, we are saving and healing lives, and together, we have proved that we are unstoppable. Please know how truly thankful CORE is for all you have done and all you will do every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. We appreciate your words today. And our partnership with CORE is what has made it possible for us both to have a transplant program here, in addition to provide life-saving organs throughout the country, essentially, from our hospital. So thank you for your work and your partnership. Our next speaker today will be Heather Mudrick, and she's going to speak on the perspective of a donor family and what it means to her and what it means to others. Heather.
Thank you guys for having myself and my family here today to talk about an organ donation as part of a donor family that has experienced this hard experience, but it's also a life-giving experience for others. 4 years ago, 4 months and 8 days to be exact, my husband entered this hospital, not realizing that it was going to be the last few hours that we would have together. We were a blended family. We had 7 kids, three of his daughters, Morgan, Caitlin, and Isabella, and my 3 daughters, Madison, Emma, and Grace, and our son Max. Ages ranging from 16 to 1-year-old. Mark was an amazing man. He lit up a room as soon as he walked into it. He just had this giving, selfless characteristics about him. He was a friend to everyone. So that 4 years, 4 months and 8 days ago, he was leaving work to attend my grandmother's funeral when he had an accident and sustained a head trauma. And during that time, he also had a skull fracture, and we went to UHC where we were in our hometown and got transferred up here. At that time, I never knew his wishes, what he wanted. That was not a possibility. We were still very young, still had our whole life ahead of us, and that's what we were dreaming about, not realizing that this is something that we would have to go through. During our hospitalization here, we had so many people on our team, doing everything possible to save him. But at the same time, when that became not our reality, CORE stepped in, liaisons that helped with donor transplantation came and was a part of the process that were very caring, compassionate, understanding, though it is a time-sensitive process that is very hard when you are grieving and going through that process, that you want all the hope possible that your loved one is going to be saved. And it's very, very difficult. And I can see where people be like, no, I don't want to do this, because you don't want to lose that hope that maybe the doctors might possibly be wrong, that there is hope that your loved one will regain consciousness or regain the ability to live again. But during that whole time, they were very loving and compassionate to myself and my family. Once we realized that the hope was lost, that Mark was not going to be able to come back home to us, even after that, the donor family has to go through a long process of questioning, and I don't want to say interrogation, but it feels like that, especially at a time when your heart is just completely torn from your body. To be able to go away from your loved one that is laying there and to answer questions for several hours just so that they can undergo this transplant process. I really didn't know much about transplant and CORE and all that until I experienced this with Mark. And it was so hard sometimes for someone to say yes, but Mark had marked on his driver's license that he wanted to be an organ donor. And at 43, and no will, us not knowing what Mark really wished, that was one thing I did not have to really make a decision. He said yes, so I'm going to say yes to it. Like I said, hope for me kind of was lost. I didn't know what I was going to do with 7 kids by myself. But with CORE, from the beginning, as soon as we left the hospital, they contacted us. They kept us in close contact with every step of the process. They let us know, that Mark did have viable organs, that he was going to be able to use his heart, his lungs, his liver, his kidneys. And every step of the process, they would let us know that someone received them, someone received life. Months later, they were able to step in and help me contact those recipients. they still reach out today to see how my family is, see how my children are growing, to see how I am doing with life. They become part of our family, just like the recipients do. Even though I've only met one recipient, his name is Donnie. About 3 years ago, actually on April 1st, we got to meet Donnie. Donnie and I had written back and forth between each other through CORE, because you can't let them know any specifics, just in case that someone does not want to meet, but you can give them little details about Mark, and we shared pictures. But eventually, after we corresponded enough times, both parties decided that we were okay with meeting. We did meet up. And I can't tell you what a magical isn't even words. There's no words to describe when you see the gentleman that had your husband's heart, and to be able to hear it beating again, and that he was able to give life, and the emotions that overcome you, that you have an instant family with them. We talk on a regular basis now. We have met here actually at Ruby several different times. Our story continues that he actually brought Dr. Sokos into our life, that he's going to be speaking here shortly. Dr. Sokos took care of Donnie for a good probably 4 years before Donnie had his heart transplant, and kept him alive on an LVAD until Donnie was able to receive Mark's heart. And then for Dr. Sokos to come and start the transplant here, and for us to be able to meet, because most people don't even get to meet their recipients, let alone the doctor that helped save their life. It's just pretty amazing to me, everything that's kind of entwined with our story and our family. Donnie also met us here at one point to meet Dr. Sokos, as kind of like combining everything together, but he brought a teddy bear for our son that has Mark's heartbeat in it, so that every night that he gets to hear his daddy's heartbeat, even if his daddy is no longer here beside of us, we still get to hear that, and that's the most precious gift that anyone could give. And I know I felt like all hope was lost when Mark passed away, but through CORE and through organ donation, we've regained that hope, that we're able to see lives that have been changed through organ donation, and that they are able to see their families grow, and that they become part of our family. And it's just an amazing process. And now that we have gone through this, and I do have a greater understanding of it, I hope to continue Mark's legacy, and to honor him, and to give hope to others, and encourage others that organ donation is a necessity for all of us, and to be selfless and to give to others to save lives. Thank you.
Heather, thank you so much for your strength, for your compassion, for your sacrifice. Donors and transplant recipients would be helpless without those things. And thank you so much personally for coming today and speaking and sharing your story. Your words mean so much to so many. So thank you. Our next speaker today will be Dr. George Sokos, a transplant cardiologist from WVU Medicine. Dr. Sokos.
Thank you, Mike. Heather, everyone. I think my words are pale in comparison to hearing Heather's story, and I think really the story of all donors and recipients. I think we're typically, as transplant physicians, on the side of speaking with patients who are anxiously awaiting that organ, that life-saving organ, whether it's a heart, which what I deal with, or a kidney, or a liver, or a lung, or anything. It's very, very conflicting for several of our patients. We have a lady, waiting an a heart transplant right now, very difficult for her to come to grips with someone having to lose their life for her to gain hers and to keep hers. And I use Donnie's story and your story honestly because we don't always get to see and put it together, like Heather said, as far as us as a physician and your recipient with a donor family. And when that happens, it's really moving and special, and really words don't describe that adequately in my mind. But it changes, well, it changed my life as a physician. Even when you have to deal with it every day, we unfortunately as physicians see people who don't make it to transplant, who pass away, and sometimes, you to deal with that, you try to insulate yourself because you have to deal with the next person, and you don't let your feelings get in the way. But when you do have the blessing to see all that come together, it's really special. And I think it's our job to use that experience to talk to patients. And even sometimes if you need to talk to some patients on they're discussing being a donor or not, we're available to that as well. You have to be careful. We don't want to, there's this idea out there, and I know CORE does a lot of work to dispel it, that you won't take care of someone as hard as you can so that you can use their organs to help someone else. And that nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we're in the business of saving lives. Everybody's that we can. It's not always possible. And when you get to the point where you can't save one person's lives and you have the ability to save someone else's lives, and you do that together, I think that's what we're here for. Not just in the transplant world, but outside of that. Transplant allows us to do more of that, and it's really important in society. And really, we've done more transplants in the last couple of years than we've done in a long time in the United States. We are extremely proud to be a part of that here. I'm from West Virginia, and that's the reason I came back, is to help provide that service to the people of West Virginia, so that they can do that closer at home. You shouldn't have to leave the state to get that life-saving care. To people like Heather, Mark, that donated their life, that people locally get to have that life-saving therapy. But I think it's less about us and more about patients on both sides, whether that's donor or those receiving. And I think it's a privilege and a blessing to be able to be a part of that. And I know that everyone on my team, whether that's the heart team or kidney team that we do here, feels the same way, and feels, and all our coordinators and all our administrative and Mike, we all feel that it's our mission and our goal to help as many people as we can, whether that's here or anywhere. So thank you again, Heather, for everything that you all have done. And Donnie was one of my favorite patients before. He can tell you that. I'm sure he has told you that, right? He wasn't able to get a transplant for a long period of time, and he worked really hard to be able to get that transplant.
Transplant twice because he had battle cancer in the middle of it.
Yeah, so he's an amazing person.
He's got an amazing heart now.
He does. I think it's made him a better person. He'll tell you that too.
Yep.
He will. And that story, while it touches us, is not isolated. That happens all the time, every day. So I encourage everyone to be a donor. I encourage everyone to tell their family members to be donors, because you're saving lives, and you mean a lot to a lot of different people. And just thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sokos. Really appreciate you coming today and speaking. So next, we're going to step outside, and we will raise the Donate Life flag in the front of the hospital. So join us outside.